You're listening to The Stephen Tauriello Show, building a platform of liberty for people in search of truth with a dash of hope and a life worth living. The Stephen Tauriello Show. And now, here's Stephen.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. As always, thank you for tuning in. So, I found this article here. This is crazy. Someone from Washington, D.C. called Fani Willis on Friday and demanded she indict Trump on Monday to cover up the David Weiss screw-up. This is crazy. It's not surprising to me. So, when I see these articles, I'm not surprised at all. We have this Department of Justice that we're witnessing right now is by far the most corrupt this Department of Justice has ever been. I'm talking, it surpasses Watergate scandal tenfold. The Watergate scandal was a disaster for our justice system. And it wasn't the crimes committed. The cover-up was worse than the crime. And everybody that knows anything about the Watergate scandal will tell you that. I actually read Ted Cruz's book, Justice Corrupted, and he goes into the entire story of the Watergate scandal. It's actually a great book. If you got a chance, you should pick it up or borrow it. It's a good read, and it really dives in deep with all the corruption happening within our justice system right now. It came out at a perfect time. It came out like 6 months ago. Great book if you're interested in the Watergate, and it talks about a lot of other stuff. Very in-depth stuff about the justice system, how it works, and most of all, how it doesn't work. He really emphasizes on how easy the Department of Justice can be corrupted depending on who is in power. So like I said, it's not really surprising to see the Department of Justice doing, obviously, corrupt shit to cover up their mistakes or to cover up for the Bidens or to essentially cover their ass. I've been saying this for weeks, that this machine is cornered. The corrupt Washington establishment is cornered. It's on its last stand, and it's not that it's more corrupt now. It's just that it's more obvious because they're doing things they normally wouldn't do out of disparity. It's just getting more desperate, that's all. And so I seen this article, hat tip to Christina Layla, by the way. It's the Gateway Pundit. Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, told Charlie Kirk, a reliable source, told him Fulton County DA Big Fani Willis got a phone call from D.C. on Friday demanding she indict Trump on Monday to cover up for the Weiss Hunter Biden screw-up. And screw-up is in quotations, which means that's actually what was said on the phone call. So Marxist Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis hit President Trump and 18 others with RICO and conspiracy charges for daring to challenge the 2020 election. A Fulton County grand jury on Monday returned a 41-count indictment, which included RICO and conspiracy charges against Trump. The grand jury was supposed to meet to listen to witness testimony on Tuesday. However, 10 witnesses testified on Monday, and the grand jury returned a 41-count indictment that evening, which was already weird. I remember watching this on the news. On Monday, they were discussing how long they were going to be in there. There was a lot of chaos happening on Monday, and everybody didn't really know why. Everyone's like, well, why don't they just finish it up the next day? This is why. Now we know. Is because she was told by our Department of Justice, by the federal government, to go ahead and indict Donald Trump to cover up for their bullshit, to cover up for their corruption. This is what's happening in your Department of Justice, folks. This is the kind of stuff that crushes a constitutional republic. This is why I always say our republic is teetering on the edge, and this Department of Justice is doing everything it can to bring us there. Merrick Garland needs to be impeached. That is it. This guy, and it's so shocking because you listen to Alan Dershowitz, who knows him very well and has known him for a long time as a judge and so on and so forth, and he even said that he's shocked that Merrick Garland is acting like this, that Merrick Garland is going through with these crazy cover-ups and these scandals and protecting the Bidens, which makes me think that somebody else is running the show. I don't know who it is. I don't know if we're ever going to know. This may be one of those things like 5 years down the road, 6 or 10 years down the road, when they actually investigate the Biden administration and all the corrupt inner workings to cover up for the Bidens. I think what's going to come out is that you're going to have people like Eric Holder, people like Susan Rice, people like Barack Obama that were in the system, that were there calling the shots. And I think Merrick Garland is listening to somebody in that cabal of people, because I just don't see, why would this guy risk his entire career? I mean, this guy's been doing this forever. And as far as I know, anybody I've ever heard talk about Merrick Garland before he was Attorney General said he was actually a straight shooter. Other than, him being extremely pissed off at Republicans for costing him a Supreme Court position, I just don't see why this guy would go on a kamikaze mission to protect the Bidens. It's never made sense to me from day one. Why is the entire whole of government in this ginormous effort to cover for the Bidens? The Bidens? I mean, we've seen it with the Clintons, but the Bidens? I mean, it's crazy. And what's even worse is we thought Hillary Clinton was corrupt. The Biden family is much, much worse. So back to the article. The entire process has been abusive. The Fulton County clerk posted Trump's charges online before the grand jury had even deliberated. This was another weird thing. So they posted the charges online on the I forget what they call it. What is it called? The docket. So they posted the charges. They posted the indictment on the court docket before the grand jury even deliberated. So that just goes to show you right there, like, their mind was made up. They were going through with this no matter what, whether it's almost like it's all planned, folks. Everything that you're watching right now is not justice. This is a plan. This is this is what happens when you have a weaponized justice system like this. What we're watching right now is that. So that's why I always say, take notes, remember these days, so that in the future, you will know what a weaponized justice system looks like, because this is the first time in my lifetime that we've ever seen it like this. Okay, so Newt Gingrich said the person who called Fani Willis demanded she bring the grand jurors in on Monday afternoon and indict Trump later that evening. And I have the audio right here so you can listen to him. Here, check this out.
That I am told, this is hearsay, but I am told by a reliable source, that Friday evening, somebody from Washington called the district attorney in Atlanta and said, you have to indict on Monday. We have to cover up all of the mistakes we just made with Weiss. And she said, apparently, my jurors aren't coming back till Tuesday. And they said, you didn't hear me. You have to indict on Monday. And she said, well, they're not going to get here before noon. They said, it doesn't matter. She said, this means it's going to be 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock at night. They said, it doesn't matter. We need the news media shifting.
Who made that phone call?
We don't know. And I'm telling you up front, this is hearsay, but it's from a person who has remarkably good sources.
I totally believe it, though, because that would explain why they leaked and they messed up on the clerk document, why she was exhausted, and why they had the 11 p.m. press conference, Mr. Speaker.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing was a disaster. I mean, what we're watching with these indictments is just disgraceful, disgusting. There's not even words to describe what we're watching right now. And what's more shocking to me, and I would say even terrifying, is that you have people that are supporting it. You have people, sick, deranged people that are obsessed with Donald Trump. You know who they are. And if you're listening, you know that's who you are. You know who you are. These people are supporting the rise of a tyranny. They're supporting the rise of a police state. These are the same people that were demanding that you wear a mask because the government said so. These were the people that were calling managers, telling on you because you weren't wearing a mask. These were the people that were cheering and popping corks on the champagne bottles when the Biden administration forced vaccine mandates on the people with threat of their livelihoods. These are those people. They are actively and knowingly cheering on the rise of a police state, the rise of a tyranny. And this is why it's so problematic. And the only reason why they are is because the media has them in an echo chamber. They're living in an echo chamber. They are practicing in groupthink. They're not practicing. They are fully engaged in groupthink. And that is the most dangerous thing you can have in a country, is where you have people all thinking the same thing and all their information comes from the government. That is clearly obvious at this point. The media is now an arm of the government. The media has been overtaken or is colluding with the government. It is the same thing. We officially now have the Pravda media outlets, which is why I call them Pravda. The Pravda media outlets are an arm of the federal government. It is state-run media. And so on Friday, back to the article. On Friday, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland announced that U.S. Attorney for Delaware David Weiss was appointed special counsel in the Hunter Biden investigation. Weiss asked for a special counsel status in the Hunter Biden case after Hunter Biden's sweetheart plea deal blew up. That entire ordeal right there needs to be investigated because somebody's lying in that situation. Now, a lot of people are trying to say that it was just incompetency. Okay, but the American people don't know that. So I think the American people deserve some answers. We deserve answers for a lot of stuff that's happened in the last 8 years. And unfortunately, you have a political party, the Democrat Party. You have a corrupt government establishment that just wants to brush everything under the rug. Just like with the cocaine in the White House, the Secret Service refuses to release any documents in regards to the White House, the cocaine in the White House. Just flat out refusing to give it to the people. That is our White House, ladies and gentlemen. That's ours. We are allowing the Biden family to stay there. We pay for that. That is our White House. And we're not going to get documents from who left cocaine in our White House? This is how brazen these people are. They are corrupt. And what's sad is the Biden administration just appointed the new head for the Secret Service. I think it's Cheagle. I can't remember her name. Something Cheagle. And she's involved in all the corruption too. So this is what they do. They put people in key positions that are part of their team, that are part of the cause. And this is what makes this so dangerous. So you wonder how in the past evil regimes were able to rise to power without the pushback from the citizens. This is how. They do it incrementally by placing strategic people in positions of power that are part of their cause. And so you think to yourself, well, the military would never fire on its own people if there was a civil war. Bullshit. If they put a top general in there, they get enough people that are part of their cause, they sure in the hell will. And that is exactly what we're watching. This is why the FBI is on this jihad against Donald Trump and this protection racket for the Bidens. They have overtaken almost every single government institution we have. Every institution that is supposed to work for the American people and protect the American people and assist the American people are now working against half of the American people, half of the country. This is why I've been saying for months, danger, danger, danger. We are watching the rise of a police state. We're watching the rise of tyranny. Totalitarianism is what it is. And it's not going to be good. And so, like I said, all these people that supported the masks, they supported the vaccine mandates, they don't care about the corruption in the Biden family, they're obsessed with Donald Trump. These people have become 100% full-blown bootlickers of the United States government. These people will these people have disdain for their fellow Americans if they vote Republican. I'm telling you, this is how it all happens. So the article continues, this is a pattern with the Biden regime. Every time Joe and Hunter Biden's crimes make headlines, Jack Smith or Marxist DAs indict Donald Trump. Well, you know what I say? I say whatever they're trying to cover up, whatever topic they're trying to cover up and using lawfare in order to do it, I say we talk about that exact topic. And so that's exactly what we're going to do. I got a article here, hat tip to Kulin Linebarger, I think it is. This just in breaking, James Comer reveals list of pseudonyms Joe Biden used as vice president. Demands National Archives hand over all unredacted records of Robert L. Peters aka Joe Biden. So Joe Biden was using an alias, Robert L. Peters? This is getting bizarre, folks. This is getting bizarre. And the left, the radical Democrats, the bootlickers want to sit there and say, everything Joe Biden had anything to do with these businesses is all on the up and up. Or they'll just flat out lie and say he had nothing to do with any of it and there's no evidence to prove it. Folks, there is a freaking mountain. There is a volcano of evidence that is getting ready to erupt of evidence. And these people are going to be caught. They're going to be caught off guard. They're completely clueless, again, because of the echo chamber. I don't know about you, but when I see somebody that's involved with all this corruption and he's using an alias, he's using a pseudonym, a different name on different records, mind you, records with Hunter Biden's name, Devin Archer's name, and Schwermer's name, I guess was the finance guy, the money guy for the family. And Joe Biden uses Robert L. Peters as a pseudonym. This is getting weird, man. It's just getting deeper and deeper. This is why all these indictments are coming down on Donald Trump. Now, I promise you, after this article releases, once they dig in more to this and a bombshell drops with Joe Biden using a fake name on official documents, they're going to do something else to Donald Trump, whether it be superseding charges or whatever it is, a superseding indictment, whatever you call it. This is how it's been. This is the pattern that we've been witnessing. Every time something bad happens with Joe Biden, they either leak a memo or leak evidence or video or audio of Donald Trump so that the media has something to cover. It's truly wild, man, to watch a media and a government collude with one another to lie to the American people, to manipulate the American people. That, to me, is extremely dangerous. And we've never seen this before. Of course, people know that the media has colluded with the government, in the past. Like, we know that. Like, that's a given. But not to this level, not to this extent. You're talking about a government that now owns. They own their asses. At least 98.5% of the media out there. I'm talking everything. When it comes to media, when it comes to newspapers, when it comes to Hollywood, when it comes to academia, when it comes to the cable. They own 98% of the media. And so this is why you have so many brainwashed and clueless people out there, is because they're engaged in groupthink. They're stuck in their echo chambers. And unfortunately, they're not willing to leave. They're so caught up in all this stuff. These people are so emotionally invested in following with all these narratives that the media has been feeding them for the last 8 years that they don't want to see the truth. They refuse to see the truth. That is like somebody trying to convince me that Joe Biden has never done anything corrupt, that Joe Biden is a good president. If somebody came up to me and tried convincing me of that, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because I know what I know. But here's the thing. This is what makes it complicating, and I'm going to give you an easy way to tell which side is lying because it can be confusing sometimes. I know sometimes you question it like, man, am I on the right side? Am I doing the right, am I being lied to? Am I falling into this echo chamber? No, you're not. Okay? I promise you. If you want to know which side is lying, just figure out which side is trying to censor people. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you can tell which side is lying. And if you listened to him a few episodes ago, I read you an article where 70% of Democrats support mass government censorship. So there you go. Now you know which side is lying. So like I was saying, all right, so let's get into this article. So House Oversight Committee James Comer on Wednesday dropped a list of pseudonyms Biden used as vice president and formally requested the National Archives to hand over all unredacted records of Biden using them. Biden used the email address Robert L. Peters at pci.gov, while Barack Obama's sidekick and that his aide John Flynn CC'd Hunter on 10 emails containing Joe's schedule between May 18th and June 15th, 2016. He also used Robin Ware and J.R.B. Ware while working as vice president. They put working in quotations. Yeah, working. So in addition to the pseudonyms, Comer wants records in which Hunter, Eric Schwerin, and Devon Archer were copied and drafts of Joe's speech to the Ukrainian parliament in December 2015. Comer released the following statement explaining his reason for the National Archives request. Joe Biden has stated there was an absolute wall between his family's foreign business schemes and his duties as vice president, but evidence reveals that access was wide open for his family's influence peddling. We already have evidence of then Vice President Biden speaking, dining, and having coffee with his son's foreign business associates. We also know that Hunter Biden and his associates were informed of then Vice President Biden's official government duties in countries where they had a financial interest. The National Archives must provide these unredacted records to further our investigation into the Biden family's corruption. Yeah, it's just incredible that you have a whole government effort running a cover-up operation for the Bidens. You would think they would want to release these documents to the American people so that the people can see for themselves that that Joe Biden is on the up and up. You know what I mean? Like the same things that they were saying about Donald Trump. They completely forget about all that. So like, for instance, when they were saying, well, if Donald Trump doesn't have anything to hide, then why don't he just release his tax returns? And the whole time, the other side was saying, well, because he doesn't have to release his damn tax returns. And then they ended up getting one tax return. You guys remember that? Rachel Madcow was getting ready to cry on national television because there wasn't anything nefarious in the tax returns. And then, like, I don't know, when was it? A year ago? So like 4 years later, a judge orders the release of all of Donald Trump's tax returns. And guess what, folks? There was nothing in the tax returns. In fact, the tax returns showed that Donald Trump overpaid in his taxes. This is the kind of shit we're dealing with. And so now, so they created that standard. So if we're going to abide by their standard and assume that Joe Biden must be corrupt if the National Archives is hiding these documents, then Joe Biden should just come out and just tell the American people what the hell was he doing in his son's business. What was it? You guys notice that nobody from the White House has come out and said anything about what the business was, what goods and services were provided, what did the Bidens do to earn tens of millions of dollars? What is it? And if it is on the up and up, then why not just pay Hunter directly? Why does it have to go through 20, 30 different LLCs, shell companies? People use shell companies specifically to launder money, to hide money. You know what? Let's just go ahead and look it up. How about that? We're going to go ahead and look up what is a shell company. We're going to do this right now, live on the show. Ready for this? Because I know it's not good. All right, so a shell company is a business entity that has little to no active operations, assets, or significant business activity. It's often created to hold assets, manage investments, or facilitate financial transactions while minimizing the company's legal and tax obligations. Some individuals or organizations might use shell companies for legitimate purposes, while others might use them for illegal activities like money laundering or tax evasion. Okay. So I guess they may have a perfectly legitimate reason for having shell companies. Then just come out and tell us. Tell the American people what is the reason for having shell companies in your name, Joe Biden. It's not like all these companies are in some random person's name. They're in Joe Biden's name. Not Hunter Biden's, not James Biden's, Joe Biden's name. So Joe Biden created shell companies as he was VP and shortly after he was VP, and there's tens of millions of dollars from foreign adversaries being funneled through these LLCs, these shell companies, then I think he owes the American people an explanation. Why can't he just come out and say it? What was the business? Why was there millions of dollars running through LLCs that you created? What goods and services did you provide? What goods and services did your son provide? We all know the answer, folks. Joe Biden and his family are corrupt. I don't know how else to say it. Everybody knows this. Even the left knows this. But they refuse to talk about it. They refuse to admit it. they're the little kid hiding under the blankets because they see a monster in the closet. And they think because they're under the blanket that the monster's not there. Ladies and gentlemen, what the hell was happening with the Biden family and all this damn money? That is a lot of freaking money. I mean, they're talking about, by the time they get to the end of this, they're talking about upwards of $50 million or even $100 million. And mind you, they only have a fraction of the bank records from a few countries. They have dozens of countries and dozens of different banks that they're going to be getting. And they have hinted to offshore bank accounts. Listen, I don't think it takes a genius to know that if they have this much money being funneled through bank accounts here in the States, what do you think they have on offshore accounts? Everybody knows that's how you funnel corrupt money. That's how you do illegitimate business deals, and you hide the money from the public. You hide the money is through foreign bank accounts. If they find that there's foreign bank accounts, man, is that going to be a problem. But the thing is, like I said, nobody at the White House is even talking about, anything. They're not even denying that Joe Biden had these LLCs in his name. The only thing that they're saying now is that Joe Biden made no money from any of the deals. So get that. We went from Joe Biden never discussing business with his son to now Joe Biden has never accepted money from foreign dealers, from foreign business deals. Like it's like they're it's like they're expecting to have like a video of Joe Biden taking a bag of money from a Chinese Communist Party member. Like that's what it's going to take in order for these people to finally come out and be like, okay, yeah, Joe Biden's corrupt. He's been making corrupt money through foreign adversaries that hate us. It's not, this is the kind of stuff we're dealing with, man. So moving on, I wanted to discuss this. This is just breaking just a few hours ago. Georgia state senator moves to impeach DA Big Fani Willis for political bias in indictments against President Trump based on so-called speech crimes. So Democrats are criminalizing speech in America. Marxist Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis hit President Trump and 18 others with RICO and conspiracy charges for daring to challenge the 2020 election. So Fani Willis criminalized the First Amendment. Trump was charged for asking his supporters to watch One America News and RSBN in a series of tweets. So they're actually using Donald Trump's tweet where he's telling people to watch One America News about the corruption in Georgia. And so that's essentially what they're using. That's what they're indicting him on. They're indicting him on his speech. I'm so tired of beating around the bush. Everybody knows, the left knows, the right knows, they are indicting the First Amendment. That is what they're doing. We know they want to do this. We've always known the Democrats wanted to get rid of the First Amendment. They hate the First Amendment. They hate free speech. These people, I just read you an article, a poll has come out. 70% of Democrats support mass government censorship. Why would we not expect the Democrats to not want to start indicting people for their First Amendment right? They hate free speech. These people are the censor machines. They're the only people in my entire life I've ever known to want to censor other people so bad. These people love censorship. That is the only way they can get any wins, is by censoring the other side. And just like I told you, if you want to know which side is lying, just figure out which side is trying to censor people. And so the Democrats, they are the censor machine. They did it with Twitter and Facebook and all the other bullshit with the Russia collusion hoax. They love censorship. We have right now a House Oversight Committee that is talking about the Democrats' censorship. They tried censoring RFK Jr. In fact, they tried censoring him in the hearing discussing censorship. So in a censorship hearing, in the weaponization of the government, the Democrats were trying to censor RFK Jr. from talking. Is this not incredible? And so why are we trying to... these people want to indict the First Amendment. Not just Trump's, all of us. They're indicting 18 people because they challenged the 2020 election. It's blasphemy. People should be outraged about this. This is insanity. and you have people on MSNBC and CNN cheering for it. Do these morons not realize that their ass is going to be censored too? That this is going to be affecting them too? You have a media outlet, a so-called news outlet that is supporting the indictment of somebody's First Amendment right. It's insanity. This is why I say these people are sick. They have been brainwashed. They are like the Borg. These people are sick. They are mentally and psychologically broken. Trump has broken these people. And the worst thing is their viewers, the bootlickers was what I call them. You can call them the Bolsheviks or whatever. They support it too. But they don't realize that they're going to be censored as well. The pendulum always swings the other way, always. And so they may support censorship now because it censors their enemies. And that's the only way Democrats can get wins, because their ideas suck. And so they have to censor the other side instead of arguing on ideas. This has happened in every single revolution and every single totalitarian regime, every single revolution, a societal takeover. The people in power turn on the people that put them there first, because they know that the people that put them there are powerful enough to put them there. They're also powerful enough to take them out, to take away the power from them. So that's why they go after those people first. If the Democrats are allowed to get away with this, these people, I promise you, only one side will be getting indicted for challenging elections. It is completely bogus that we are indicting a former president and the current frontrunner of Joe Biden's political opposition for tweets, for challenging an election, for doing things that is perfectly in his right to do. And not just him, but 18 other people. I mean, it is truly disturbing. It is chilling. The indictment was chilling. It is like, I cannot believe we have arrived here. And you got fat ass Bill Barr on Fox News saying Donald Trump's going to be convicted by summertime. Bill Barr, Merrick Garland, Joe Biden, and Jack Smith do not pick who the president is. The American people do. At least that's how democracy is supposed to work. But look, there's no doubt about it. These people are absolutely destroying every single institution in our country. Every single sector of our society, the Democrat Party is destroying. Not just the Democrats, but Bill Barr, the establishment. Why anybody would listen to Bill Barr? Bill Barr is an establishment rat. This guy is a rat in the establishment. He has been there his entire freaking life. Why do the American people insist on listening to people that have been in politics their whole damn life? Bill Barr has nothing better to do. He doesn't have a job. All he's doing is going from outlet to outlet, ragging on Donald Trump because he doesn't want Donald Trump to be president. Well, too bad, dude. 75 plus million Americans disagree with you, and they want him as the president. And I guarantee you, this election coming up, he's going to get even more. I think Donald Trump may get 100 million votes. I really do. I think Donald Trump may get 100 million votes. I think this is going to happen. The reason why it pisses me off that Bill Barr is out there trying to stab Donald Trump in the back is this guy let Antifa go. This guy let Hillary Clinton go. This guy didn't prosecute shit. He didn't do anything. He should have been the one in there getting rid of the corrupt swamp creatures in our Department of Justice. He didn't do shit. As far as I'm concerned, Bill Barr is part of the problem. And so his fat ass just needs to get out of the way. Get out of the way, dude, and let the American people get their country back. If you're not going to help, get the hell out of the way. And the same goes for Mike Pence. Same goes for fat ass Chris Christie. Get the hell out of the way. These people are disgusting. They're disgraceful. Every single person I talked to that was a DeSantis voter, that was a DeSantis supporter until they started doing this to Donald Trump, and now they're going to be voting for Donald Trump. Every single one of them has said that these Republicans that are trying to torpedo Donald Trump's campaign just need to get the hell out of the way. They're not doing anything. They want their old Republican Party back. They want the party that they're used to, the party they grew up with, the controlled opposition party. That's what they want. The party that gets smacked in the face by the Democrats and then thanks the Democrats for not balling up their fist. That's the party they want. They want their old stuff back, where they just pass continuing resolutions and have the American taxpayer flip the bill. Look at all the damage this Congress has caused in the last 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. This country has been in a state of decline for 30 freaking years. This Congress, this government, these institutions are a failure. The biggest problem with a government institution is it can't fail. These places need to be defunded, dissolved, and disbanded. They're failures. The Department of Education, a failure. The FDA, a failure. The EPA, a failure. Now the FBI, a failure. I'm sorry, the FBI, it's not fixable, folks. It's not. I'm sorry. I know a lot of conservative hosts are saying that. I know there's a lot of people out there that want to keep the FBI and restructure it. It is finished. It is done. Dunzo. Stick a fork in it and let it go. That, I think, is our biggest problem right now in the Republican Party, is we have a lot of old school Republicans that just want the normal party that they're used to. It's not like that anymore. Democrats have destroyed Kansas. We're not in Kansas anymore, and it's never coming back. The Democrats, this corrupt regime in our United States government, this fourth branch of government, has permanently changed this country forever. There is no going back. There is no unbreaking the glass that they broke. There is no going back over the Rubicon. We are here because the Democrat Party and the corrupt Washington establishment has brought us here. And I keep saying this, it's going to be a rough ride. But people need to remember, don't give up. Do not surrender. I know it feels demoralizing right now. That is what they're trying to do. They're trying to demoralize you. And I personally think the reason why DeSantis is not being himself is because I think he knows what they're trying to do. And I think he doesn't want anything to do with it. I really don't. I think DeSantis is a straight shooter. I think DeSantis is a stand-up guy. I know there's a lot of articles. There's a lot of news out there about DeSantis. You got Charlie Kirk. You got a lot of people ragging on Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is a kick-ass governor, man. Kick-ass governor. But he needs to be a governor. But I think that he's not into his campaign. Ron DeSantis could be crushing this campaign right now, crushing it. He's just not there. It's not him. He's being controlled by other people. And I think he realizes that, and he just doesn't want anything to do with it anymore. That's what I think. It may just be me. It's obviously my opinion, so it doesn't really mean anything. It's just how I feel. It's the observations and the articles, the news I read about Ron DeSantis, the stuff I read about him, and that's the observation that I made. I think Ron DeSantis, he just doesn't want anything to do with this corrupt establishment and what they're trying to pull him in, and he just doesn't want anything to do with it. I'm telling you, I think that's what it is. And personally, I'm still going with my prediction that it's going to be Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis in the 2024 presidential race. I think they're going to be running together. People are calling me crazy. Even more people are calling me crazier every time, as the further we get into these elections. But I truly do think Donald Trump is going to pick Ron DeSantis as his VP. Because to me, it is the only way you're going to combine the Republican Party. The only way you are going to join the Republican Party is by having Ron DeSantis. Because there's Republicans out there that just won't vote for Donald Trump. But they will vote for Donald Trump if they know they're getting Ron DeSantis the next term. And that could be their statement. Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis can come out tomorrow. I wouldn't suggest tomorrow. If I were them, I would wait for the very last second so that the media doesn't have time to come up with a psy-op. The media doesn't have time to come out with narratives against him. because that's what the media does. They create these narratives and they just send it out on a sheet of paper, on a script, and just have everybody read it. And the Bolsheviks, the bootlickers, listen to every word, soak it up, and then repeat every word of it in their giant echo chamber. And so I say they need to wait to the very last second, announce that you're running together, and then split up the battlefield. Ron DeSantis is going to get the more moderate Republicans. Donald Trump is going to get his base. It's a big-ass base. It's a big-ass base, folks. I mean, you're talking millions of people that have voted for Donald Trump, and only Donald Trump. I'm not a big fan of that type of attitude. I am voting for whichever Republican's in there. I'm not a Trump or nothing. I'm not one of those people that are out there saying it's Donald Trump or I'm not voting. I get it. Laura Loomer's out there saying that that's how people need to be so that this government doesn't decide who we vote for. That is the biggest thing for me. The reason why I'm voting for Donald Trump is because it's the biggest middle finger that I can give to the United States government and this corrupt establishment that is trying to control who we pick for our president. They're trying to control democracy. These people don't want democracy. They don't want the people making a choice. They think the American people are dumb. They don't even trust the voters. They don't even trust the American people to vote right, to vote for the right person. So this is why they do all their corrupt shit. And this is why Donald Trump is such a threat to them, because they can't control him. They want somebody they can control, like a Chris Christie. His fat ass ain't going anywhere. Look, I got some extra poundage on me. I'm not saying I don't sneak a Twinkie or two every now and then. I'm there. But Chris Christie is like 4 of me. The guy is huge. You guys, the one thing I can't stand Chris Christie for is that freaking picture I got stuck in my head of him laying on the beach when he shut all the beaches down in New Jersey with his fat ass out there sunbathing. I cannot get that picture out of my head, and that's why I can't stand him for that. It's a disgusting picture, and I can never, and I'll never be able to get it out of my head. Every time I hear his name, every time I see him, that picture pops up in my head. There was a guy, I don't know if it was a drone or was some kind of, there was some kind of helicopter flying around at the time, and they somehow spotted Chris Christie and his fat ass on the beach. It's not very hard to see. I mean, it was just him, a very large him, out there on the beach. And so they took an aerial photo of him, and he looked like a beach whale. And now I can't get that picture out of my head. But he knows he's not going to be president. He's just trying to torpedo the Trump campaign. Same thing with Bill Barr. Same thing with Mike Pence. Same thing with everyone. All of them. But there's one thing that we have going on from the very beginning. People said, I remember this, in the very beginning, before Donald Trump even announced he was running. I remember getting on Twitter and getting on Truth Social and seeing all the comments saying a Trump DeSantis ticket. In fact, yesterday I was driving with my wife to take her car to get her oil changed. I seen a ginormous sign on the side of someone's fence that said Trump DeSantis. I don't know how they got that sign. They maybe might have had it printed up, but this thing was huge. It was like the size of a car. And it said Trump DeSantis 2024. If that were to be the case, if Trump and DeSantis were to run together on the same ticket, it would blow the leftists' minds. Their heads would explode. They wouldn't know what to do. They would know at that point in time when they announced when Donald Trump announces Ron DeSantis as his VP, at that moment, they would know that their gig is up. And hell, I would probably even expect the rats to start jumping ship in Washington, D.C. The moment that I'm saying the moment Donald Trump wins the election, I'm talking that night. Well, it's not going to be in one night because we don't have election day anymore. We have election month. Thanks, Democrats. So much for defenders of democracy, huh? Everything they say is just bullshit. Everything that comes out of their mouth is just a freaking lie, man. But I digress. But the moment Donald Trump wins that election and they announce him as the winner, It's going to be, you're going to see bureaucrats leaving Washington, D.C. like a bunch of rats fleeing a sinking ship. It is going to be amazing. Because, look, this is why I've been saying for the last few days, the reason for all these indictments is because this is the Washington corrupt establishment's last stand. They're firing in every direction. They're willing to burn the whole damn thing down just to keep Donald Trump out of there. And they know if they're not successful, then at least they kneecapped him enough to where he's going to have a really rough 4 years and probably a few impeachments, some investigations, some indictments. It's not going to stop, folks. It's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. The only way this is going to stop is if the Democrats suffer losses too. That's it. As if they're having to go, so essentially fighting fire with fire. That is the only way any of this stops. When you have Republican district attorneys that are starting to indict Democrats, then you'll start seeing these people back off. And I think Merrick Garland needs to be impeached. Mayorkas needs to be impeached. Joe Biden needs to be impeached. I'm tired of hearing conservatives talking about, oh, we shouldn't impeach Joe Biden because it may hurt us electorally. Who gives a damn? It's the right thing to do. Show the American people what real justice is supposed to be. And look, if they don't have a solid case yet, then okay. Then don't bring it yet. But I think the only way they're going to get a real solid case is if they bring articles of impeachment, if they start an inquiry. That is the only way, because that opens a lot of doors as far as investigatorial power. So that's what they need to do. But I just think it's, the Georgia indictment with Donald Trump, where they're indicting the First Amendment right, they're indicting free speech. I know it's just red meat for the base right now, and it's something that the media, makes money off of. The media. That's all they talk about is Donald Trump. It is really freaking weird. Like, none of the outlets on the left, and I've been watching a lot of CNN, MSNBC. I don't see anybody talking about the fires over there in Maui. I mean, it's so bad as far as them not talking about it that I think something is going on. I think they're trying to cover something up. I don't know what it is. I cannot put my finger on it. I have no idea. But I'm telling you, folks, that is a freaking disaster over there. I looked at photos and videos of Maui after the fire, and it looked like, I don't know, like an air burst. Everything was incinerated. Not a fire, incinerated. Like there was some kind of top secret weapon that was used that just incinerated everything on the ground. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm not talking about a conspiracy. I'm saying actually incinerated, like some kind of, like a nuclear bomb. It looked like the pictures of Nagasaki after they dropped the bomb. I'm telling you, it is the craziest thing. There was a picture of a dog that was roasted and burnt to a crisp. The thing, it was, I'm talking bacon crispy, burnt, and just incinerated. How the hell can a dog not escape these fires? That means these fires were quick. I'm talking like a wall of 2,500 degree flames. I mean, it looked like some shit out of the Pompeii, the over there in Pompeii, where the statues, you have the people that were just, they burned up so fast and got covered in ash so quick that they just turned into statues. It's wild. But I'm telling you, that's what those pictures looked like of Maui. So if a dog is not even willing to escape, they have great senses when it comes to getting out of fires. And you're talking outside. I'm not talking in a building or anything. I'm talking this dog was outside on the street. And even it wasn't able to get away from these flames. That means that these flames were moving fast. And in fact, one article I read, there was a witness testimony that said that the flames were moving at 100 yards a minute. 100 yards a minute. You're talking about a football field in 1 minute. These flames were moving. Nobody had a chance. And what's crazy is the left-wing media, the Pravda media, is not even talking about it. That's what's so weird. Like everything is Trump, 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 Trump. Nobody's talking about what's happening in Maui. They have Maui locked down. Nobody's allowed in there. They got everything locked down. It's crazy stuff. They're not even letting residents back in. They get a pass for they get a pass to go in, but that pass expires in like 72 hours or something. It's just, we almost know nothing about the Maui fires. Nothing. And so I think something nefarious is going on with that whole situation. I don't know what it is. Now you got some of the officials, one of the emergency officials has come out and admitted that they purposely didn't sound the alarms. Why? Why wouldn't you do that? And he comes out and he says he didn't sound the alarm because he didn't want people fleeing in the wrong direction towards the fire up in the mountains. Like that's crazy. This guy, he deliberately did not sound the alarm, and all these people died. Tell me he's not in some shit. And then another guy, the water preservationist, or he's on the water preservation board or something there in Hawaii, obviously a left-winger. This guy is probably a Joe Biden sycophant. He said he didn't allow emergency officials to use water to put out the fires when they were manageable. And then you hear audio of him talking about how he feels about the water in Hawaii and how the equity, threw in like the word equity, and how everyone needs to use the water but not take advantage of the water or something like that. Like, very weird and very typical leftist speaking, talking points, talking about equity and all this stuff. But he didn't allow the emergency officials to use water to put out the fires, the initial fires. And then another guy doesn't sound the alarm because he didn't want people running in the wrong direction. Dude, you just let everyone get cooked. And nobody even knew it came. No one even knew it was coming. The one thing you can hear from the witnesses, the eyewitnesses that seen it happened and escaped, that were lucky enough to escape, they said nobody knew what was happening. It happened so fast. Nobody even had time to even realize what was going on. And as of, I think yesterday, it's close to 100 deaths, maybe a little bit over 100. But this is the crazy thing. They have not checked any of the buildings or vehicles yet. But they do know there's over 1,200 people missing. Ladies and gentlemen, there may be 1,200 deaths over there in Maui. And if that's the case, that's probably going to be one of the biggest disasters in, I don't know. I have no idea. 1,200 people. I mean, you're talking 9/11 status. 9/11 was 3,000. You're talking half of 9/11. And these people didn't even know it was coming. I read an article where they found a family of 4 in their car, unable to escape. How are you unable to escape in a car? That means this thing must have been moving. Or either that, and a lot of what I've been gathering from the witness testimony and people that witnessed the fire that escaped, they were saying they didn't know which direction to run in. And so when you watch the videos, it's crazy because these people are standing on an intersection and there's fire all around them and you don't know which direction to go. And so you could see a gap in one direction, you could start going through that gap, and instead of it opening up to a clearing where no flames are, it could not open up, and you just keep going and you just cook in your car. And that, you know what I mean? Like, so I get where people are saying, like, there's just nowhere to go. Like, they didn't know where they were going. But how freaking sad to find a young family, a mom and a dad and 2 young kids, couldn't even make it out in their car. And then again, like I said, that dog that was burnt in the middle of the street, a dog couldn't even escape. And then that witness saying it was moving at 100 yards a minute, a football field a minute. That is devastating. And so if it turns out that the 1,200 people that are missing end up being deaths in this, man. And the crazy thing is all these people that are dead are in their homes. So these people, they had no idea what was coming. None. I can't even, like, that is like the most, I cannot even begin to imagine what that was like. That's one of my biggest fears, is burning alive. And that's exactly what happened to maybe 1,200 people. Burnt alive in their homes. And all of it, I don't know, like, I'm sure it's going to be one of those cases where everyone's pointing fingers trying to put the blame on somebody else. But what we know so far is one guy purposely did not sound the alarm. Another guy purposely denied emergency fire workers water to put out the flames. We're talking about a disaster. A lot of human error. And really, I don't think it's even going to matter how the fire started. What's going to end up being the problem is the response from the city. That's what I think happened. I think it was a perfect storm. Literally, a perfect storm. There was hurricane winds happening. And so I think those winds were just whipping up oxygen. And you guys know that, fire requires oxygen. The more oxygen you give to a fire, the hotter it gets. And that's how blowtorches work. They actually use acetylene. But one is oxygen and one is acetylene. And so when you apply oxygen, and they had a hurricane, imagine hurricanes moving wind at super fast. They said there was 60-mile-an-hour gusts of wind. That's crazy. That's hurricane level stuff. And so you guys know when you blow on a piece of charcoal, or you blow on an amber and it flares up and it gets bright. Imagine that happening, but with 60-mile-an-hour gusts of wind. You're talking about turning a whole city into an incinerator. And that is exactly what it looks like. It looks like something out of Nagasaki after they dropped the bomb. It's just crazy. I've never seen anything like it. Cars are melted. And buildings are just nothing. There's nothing left. No glass, no plastic, no nothing, no gutters. It looked like a freaking war zone. I don't know if you haven't seen any footage or pictures of it, go look. It's pretty horrifying, and I cannot think of a worse way to go, honestly. I cannot think of a worse way to go. And so I just want my listeners to give the people of Maui their hearts and prayers. And there's plenty of donating that you can do. There's Give, Send, Goes that are set up. You can donate. Just be careful with the donating, because a lot of NGOs like to take advantage of these. I know, believe it or not, it's actually kind of sick. But there's a lot of corrupt-ass people out there that like taking advantage of disasters like this to scam people out of their money. So, and another thing is the 18 or 19 people that were indicted with Donald Trump, the co-conspirators as they call them, a lot of those people are looking at $200,000 to $200,000 legal bills. So, all of them are not wealthy people. People like Jenna Ellis. Mark Levin is good friends with Jenna Ellis, and he said she does not have a lot of money. And, these people have no idea how they're going to be paying for their defense, for their liberty. These people are going to be fighting for their lives, for their freedom. And so they're going to need the best representation they can get. And so if you guys could, I already made a small donation to Jenna Ellis. That's all I can afford. I wish I could afford to give all these people money. I just can't, man. Joe Biden has this country in a freaking disaster. But that's the thing, though. That's really what they're doing. The process is the crime with the Trump indictment stuff. They know all the stuff is going to get thrown out on appeal in the Supreme Court, but they're using it to kneecap Donald Trump's campaign. So far, Donald Trump, the Trump campaign, has already spent over $400 million in legal fees. $400 million in legal fees. You're talking about almost $500 million. And all that money is coming from his campaign. So you want to sit there and tell me this isn't planned? Of course it is. That is their plan, to kneecap Donald Trump and to interfere in a federal election. That is exactly what's happening. And they're using lawfare to do it. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for today's show. I will leave all these articles in my podcast description. You guys go ahead and take a look. And I urge you to read into the Maui story. Very, very bizarre stuff that's happening over there. Take a look into that. I may leave a article in my podcast description about the fires in Maui. And if you guys have any questions or you want to reach out to me for anything at all, you can get a hold of me at steventorielloshow@gmail.com. You can follow the show on Rumble. I would appreciate it if you did follow the show on Rumble, because obviously we want to support Rumble as an alternative platform to YouTube. So you can follow the show on Rumble. I am on YouTube as well for now. I don't know how long it's going to last. And you can follow the show on any podcast platform. And please share the show with your friends and family. I don't ask for any money. I don't get advertising from anybody. And the only way, I actually had somebody leave a comment on my YouTube show, on one of my YouTube episodes the other day, that said, like, your show is amazing and there's no way you shouldn't be having more followers and more clicks. And he says you are definitely being shadow banned. So I don't know that to be the case. I have no way of finding out, even if I was. I'm not sure. So, but I told him, I said, I really don't, since I'm a one-man band here, I don't pay for promoting. I don't pay for advertising to get my show out there. I don't pay for anybody to boost my clicks or YouTube accounts or anything like that. There's all kinds of stuff you could do to get more followers. I'm just putting my content out there, and I'm relying on the audience to share my show. And the more you share, the more the show will get out there. And the bigger the show will get, the bigger the audience will get. And therefore, the more listeners we have. The more listeners we have, the more informed people we have. And informed people make the best decisions, and uninformed people make bad decisions. I've been saying that since the beginning of the show, since day one, ladies and gentlemen. So if you've been here with me since day one, you know that is the theme of the show, and we're going to be sticking, and I believe in that wholeheartedly. I believe that's exactly what happened in 2020, and all we need to do is just inform the people. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you for tuning in. I want you guys to have a good day, have a great weekend, and make sure you rest a little bit on Sunday. Don't work too hard. And yeah, you guys have a great weekend. God bless you, and God bless America. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.